So you have heard all my tea. Now I want to hear yours. So before I get into today's video, I want to welcome you guys to my channel, or welcome back if you've already been here. This is a segment on my channel where you guys send me your stories in and I read them, react to them, and I know that in a lot of these videos I make it pretty comical or humorous, but I do want to take this time to say that in no way, shape or form is any of the stories I've read so far remotely comical, like not even in the slightest. I do the same with my own personal story. I try to find the humor in everything, but I do want to commend all of you who have sent in your story so far and all the ones that I've read, because honestly, it ain't no joke. The things I've been reading, the things that people have sent in, it gets worse and worse and worse, and I do want to use these videos to let other women who are going through things know that it's not okay, it's not right. And a lot of these stories do have happy endings, which is always a plus, but a lot of them don't. A lot of people are still in their relationships, still dealing with abuse, and that is exactly what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. A lot of these things, even if not physical, it's abuse, okay? It's not okay, and we shouldn't normalize it. And this is a big part of why I started this series, to expose abuse in all shapes and all forms, because a lot of people, myself included once upon a time, used to think that unless you're being physically hit, you're not being abused, and that couldn't be further from the truth. So a big shout out to everyone who has sent in their story so far. I know it couldn't have been easy, because I'm telling you, once upon a time I wanted to take my story to my grave. You couldn't beat that out of me at one point in time. It was just the embarrassment. Don't want to be embarrassed, and that happens with a lot of people. They stay in situations and they don't say anything, they don't speak up because they're embarrassed. And enduring that kind of abuse, especially for years at a time, I won't be surprised if you've developed some sort of trauma, some sort of mental health issue, depression, anything. I won't be surprised, because these are not things that we should take lightly, because it's not a physical thing. Do you know what I mean? Just because it isn't physical abuse doesn't mean that the abuse doesn't cause internal damage, sometimes permanently. And I know, coming out of my situation, I was very damaged, still am pretty much damaged, still dealing with a lot of things, and mentally I still have not recovered from what I was in and what I was dealing with, and I don't know when I will be over it. And it's important not to rush yourself. Everything is on your own time, and it's okay to ask for help. And I tell you, one thing that's really been helping me is therapy. This is a paid partnership with BetterHelp, and I'm so excited to share BetterHelp with you guys, because BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy accessible, and the easiest way they do that is by doing it online. It's super simple to match you to a therapist. All you have to do is fill out a short questionnaire on the website, and then they will assign you a therapist, and you do not have to stick with your therapist. You can change your therapist anytime you want. If you feel like it's not a right fit for you, you can switch your therapist or find you a new one at no extra charge. I've been using BetterHelp for a little while now, and I'm not gonna lie, I love my therapist. He asks me the questions that I need to challenge myself. Like, a lot of the questions he asks me, I don't know how to answer them, so I really have to think about them. He really makes me think, and he's actually taught me so much about myself already. I went into therapy wanting to heal, wanting to get over the past and my trauma and all of that sort of stuff, and learn how to forgive properly. But I've ended up learning so much about me. Like, I had a session just before I came down here to film, and he made me realize that I don't think I truly know who I am. I thought I knew who I was. I really did. A lot has happened which has made me change who I am in a way. So it's like I'm becoming a new person, but still not knowing where that new person is or who that, do you know what I mean? So yeah. So whether you feel like you need therapy or you don't need therapy, I highly recommend therapy to everybody. There will be a link in my description box to sign up, and clicking that will help me out, but it will also get you 10% off of your first month using BetterHelp. So like I said, if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in my description box or the one on screen right here, betterhelp.com/daily Dainá. And I want to give a big shout out and thank you to BetterHelp for supporting my channel. As always, if you guys want to send me a story, make sure to email it to this email on screen. And let's just get into the first story. My story is titled, "He Took My Wig Off in Public." Already we're starting off mad. Already we are starting off mad. Okay. Hi Dainá, here's my story. Contains domestic violence. I first came across your channel when you spoke about your divorce. I'm sorry you went through all of that, and I hope one day you find true love and happiness. Thank you, girl. I'm calling this person X throughout my story. I met X when I was 19 at a bar with my friends. He approached me from the back, and when I turned around, I immediately liked what I saw. He had a distinct tattoo at the corner of his eye, and I was in love. We spoke for the whole day after that, and it led to my first and last one-night stand. Since I gave in so quickly, I thought he wouldn't be interested. However, over the next few months, we hung out at my house, watched movies, and got intimate. I didn't think it was a serious thing, but I knew I liked him. Slowly but surely, I started noticing red flags. He would disappear for weeks without any contact, wouldn't walk beside me in public. Now I realize it's because he didn't want to be seen with another woman, and wouldn't answer his phone. At the time, I was in college and I didn't let it bother me much. Until I found out I was pregnant. I was in shock and disbelief. I knew I'd messed up, but I was determined to keep the child, whether he was there or not. I managed to get hold of him and told him about the pregnancy. He was supportive, I guess. A few weeks later, I miscarried. And I couldn't see any point in continuing the relationship, especially due to his inconsistency and my loss. Makes sense. We didn't see each other until 2-3 years later. I was on a bus and he approached me wanting to speak. We rekindled everything, but this time I made it clear that I needed it to be serious or I wasn't interested. I also found out he had a daughter before we met, and I wasn't interested in being with him if he had another child. He assured me he only had one child. Fast forward, I was in my last year of university and we were living together. I'd met his family, we were in a committed relationship, and I was the main breadwinner as he never worked much. Why don't they ever work? I supported him emotionally and financially, and I encouraged him in his jobs and his business ventures. Do you know what? It's so funny to me. It's so funny to me that there's such a narrative, especially throughout male podcasts and things like that, where women are perceived as gold diggers, or women finesse men for money, or they want sugar daddies, or women this and money that, and blah blah blah. Why should I get you a Birkin bag this, a Birkin bag? All of you lot are broke. Like, stop. Okay, there's no such thing as gold digging when there's no gold to dig. Okay, instead of you lot keep asking why women want to finesse men for money, or why women are gold diggers, why don't we ask why all of you lot are broke? Why don't we ask them questions there? Because I'm sorry, every story that's been sent in so far, I'm sure the man's been broke in every single one. Maybe I've got to go back and check again, but correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure they've all been broke and dusty with a whole lot of audacity. Yeah. However, the happy times didn't last. Here's a list of the things he did over a 7-8 month period. Trigger warning, contains graphic content. Oh my gosh. Over a 7-8 month period. The first time he hit me was when he wanted to attend a male friend's wedding with me. I asked my friend if we could add him to a table, but it was too short notice. He got angry, and during the argument, he slapped me and I fell to the floor. On another occasion, we got into an argument and he flushed my keys down the toilet so I couldn't leave the house. I called the police, but he had already left when they arrived. During another argument at a petrol station, he tore my wig off and placed it on the car bonnet, trying to embarrass me, not sure whether I got out of the car to get my wig. He went through my phone and deleted all men from social media, including family members. He stole all the pennies from my penny jar when he was super broke. It's the fact that you can steal from someone you supposedly love, but then you're stealing things like pennies. I'm telling you, something's not right. Something is not right. But am I even surprised when I had someone stealing weed oil from me? He accused me of flirting with his friend over a conversation about a pack of peanuts. which I wasn't. He blackmailed me with a secret I confided in him, and he forced me to strip naked and humiliated me. He even pretended to attempt rape despite knowing about my past trauma. What the hell? I'm so sorry. I'm not even through the list yet, but I'm so sorry that you went through this. The more I read, it just gets worse. After all of this, I realized I didn't want to be in a relationship, but I found out I was pregnant again the day I decided to end the relationship. This time, I was not happy at all, but I didn't want an abortion. We spoke through it and I decided to stay with him. Everything was going okay, and during my scan, I found out I was having twins. Twins! Oh my gosh, so not only are you locked in for life with this man, you're locked in with this man twice for life now. I was so upset because I'm having 2 babies for a person I do not want to be with. Exactly. The accusations of me cheating on him continued. At another scan appointment, I came out feeling depressed as he again accused me of flirting with the doctor. The doctor? When the doctor pressed my stomach and I made a smiling expression. And here's where it all goes left. One day I went into my car after he had been driving it and I saw a baby's bottle in the back seat. He said it was his cousin's baby's bottle, so I didn't think anything of it. Weeks later, at night, I had a dream that he had cheated on me with one of my friends and he was at a friend's house with her and her son. At the time, I didn't think anything of it, as vivid dreams are common during pregnancy. But hold that thought about my dream. I'm already holding that thought because them dreams there are serious. I don't play around about dreams, you know. I don't play around about dreams. After a couple of weeks, I decided to spend time with his mother. While talking, she mentioned X's daughter, which I knew about. But then she mentioned his son. I was completely confused and shocked because I didn't know he had a son. I was angry because I made it clear I wouldn't get back with him if he had another child. I didn't want to be with a guy with multiple children. To make matters worse, it turns out his son had the exact same name as my friend's son from the dream where he cheated on me. To put it in perspective, my friend's son in real life has the exact name as X's son. I wasn't aware X had a son, but I had a dream that he had cheated on me with my friend who has a son with the exact same name as his son. Sorry to confuse you. Despite knowing he had another child, I carried on the relationship. I really hope you ain't about to tell me that he indeed does have a friend of your son. I hope that's just a coincidence that your son's name, your friend's son's name and his son's name just happen to be the same thing. I hope that story don't twist and that your friend is really his baby mother. Despite knowing he had another child, I carried on the relationship. Due to my suspicions of cheating, I had an app on my phone to pay for X's monthly credit on his phone. I went on the app and saw he had been calling a number quite a lot. Who's he been calling now? While being pregnant and overthinking, I called the number and a female answered. I introduced myself, explained that I was pregnant and that me and her should talk, seeing as me, X and his daughter would go out together and that I have held her baby son. Thinking that she knew about me and X and had mentioned it before, that he had told her about me. However, she was in complete shock, crying, and told me she knew nothing about me. She noticed X doesn't see the kids often and doesn't stay at her house, had abused her and they weren't having sex anymore. In that moment, I knew I was the other woman. That night he came back to my house and he said he needed to leave to go somewhere. The baby mother and I pulled a prank on him, making him drive miles to meet her at a certain location. He arrived, but she wasn't there. I called him, laughed, and asked where he was and who he was supposed to be meeting. He realized I found out everything. The fact that you guys decided to do like a little prank though, that's how you know you guys were done. Because there's no way you can do that and then it's gonna continue as no. This is what happens. Bad bitch link up, period. I cussed him out and kicked him out of our house that night. The baby mother and I kept in contact and would spend hours on the phone cussing about him. However, I felt like she just wanted information from me and wasn't happy I was pregnant. After days of back and forth between me, her and him, I realized he was playing both of us and living a double life. He was going back and forth between the both of us, having me at his mum's house, playing happy family. He even brought the bed frame we had in our shared house from the baby mama's house, lying that his cousin was selling a new bed. Man brought the bed from the baby mum's yard to your yard. Yeah, he's different. Anyway, weeks later, I ended up going to the hospital with bleeding. I had miscarried again. I went for my scan by myself as I had already kicked X out of the house. He showed up at the hospital wanting to go inside the scan with me. During my scan, he was on the phone with his baby mother the whole time while finding out we had lost our babies. At that point, I was done with him and her. After my miscarriage, I picked up and left the house we both had. I left all the furniture and took what I needed. X offered to drive me to the house I was staying at as I had bags and I was still pregnant, awaiting surgery to remove the babies. He hugged me and said goodbye after I got out of his car with my stuff That's the last time I've seen him. It's been 6 years since all of this has happened. I recently spoke to him and got closure for the whole thing. He still wants me back, but that is never gonna happen. I am now happily married and I love the way my husband loves me. We are trying for a baby, but I have some fertility issues. However, we are staying positive that it will happen. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. Girl, you've been through it and I'm so glad you didn't go back. Even gladder to hear that you're happily married right now and you and your husband are trying for a baby. In God's name, you guys will have a baby. I'm one of them people that believe everything happens for a reason, and all I want to say is God's plan for you was different, okay? You weren't meant to have a baby with that man. You weren't meant to have a baby with X, especially twins. You weren't meant to. But you sound like you're in a really good place right now, and I'm praying that God blesses you both with a beautiful baby because you definitely deserve it. That was rough, but let's get into the second one. This one is called My Ex-Husband Chose a 15-year-old Over Me. Not fully detailed, but here's the gist. Now, before you ask, no, the 15-year-old was not his child. Now a little backstory to the big blow up of why I divorced that dumbass. I've technically known him all my life, but our families disconnected when I was still very young. We reconnected once I was 18 and he was 24. He love bombed me by taking me on a date every day for a week, but asked me to be his girlfriend on the 4th day. As time went on, I realized who he truly was as a person. An insecure man who was seeking validation through unhealed women. By that, I mean every woman he had dated had been sexually assaulted in the past. I've learned that it's because he has this hero complex and it's a way of manipulation. If he can show you a better life than you once had, then you'll idolize him and put him on a pedestal. A way to feed his insecurities. We got married when I was 20 and him 26 as a way to lock me in, thinking that I'd never leave him. He's cheated on me, manipulated and gaslighted me, berated me in public, and overall gotten worse over the 7-8 years we were together. Oh wow, that's a long time, 7-8 years. Now to the story. He has a daughter who he wasn't really close with. He blames his daughter's mother, but I learned he never really took time to be with her. He claims to always be busy, but all he ever did was work and go to the gym. His daughter has a cousin who he would babysit when they were both little. Somehow this cousin got back in touch with him, feeding his ego, telling him how she knew he'd always come save her from her horrible life, etc. Mind you, she is 15 at this point and has very well told him she's had a crush on him. He's 32 at this time. She even starts looking up laws of how it will be legal for them to be together once she turns 16. Mind you, knowing he's still married to me. Couple months later, she shows up to the sheriff's office. He's a sheriff with black eyes, saying how her mother socked her in the face. I get a call and he immediately tells me that this little girl is moving in with us. I've never met this girl a day in my life, and I said no because it's not appropriate. He's not blood related to her and she has a crush on him. He told me if I didn't like it, I could leave. I should have, but I didn't. Dumb I know. She moves in and I'm trying to be the supportive wife he claimed I never was. They iced me out from the very beginning and he acted like I no longer existed. I was over shit until one night she asked him to sleep in the bed with him. He said it's innocent, like a father-daughter thing, and the door would be open. I told him it's weird. I told him it's weird as hell, and no, he did it anyway. And the little girl kept closing the door until 4 AM. I burst in the room and told him to get the fuck out. Yeah. Because what the hell? Like, the more I'm reading this, I'm like, this can't be real. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes in that house. Him and this little child, this 15-year-old girl, are in a room together and you're just in your room, just, okay, nah, yeah. Whoo, the way my anger's set up. The way my anger is set up is all I'm gonna say. This starts an argument about how I'm selfish and manipulative, how I've hated that little girl since she walked in the door, and how then throws in my face that his daughter hates me as well because I take all his time. He threatens to arrest and shoot me, tells me we never had a good marriage, and even had the 15-year-old questioning me. I said, fuck you, I'm done, and went to bed. He then proceeds to bring the girl in our bed and cuddles with her, telling me how I'd never break their father-daughter bond. That morning, I packed my shit and moved the fuck out. That night even, I didn't come back. He called his sister to tell her how selfish I was for staying out late, knowing he has to wake up early in the morning. Made his sister buy supplies for the house, I usually did it, and then called me to ask why I wasn't coming home. I told him to go lay with Redacted and to get the fuck out my face. He told me I was disgusting for insinuating something. Weeks roll by and he tells me I've spent enough time away and that I should come home. I told him fuck off. I like you. I honestly love you because that is my response to everything. Seriously, what the fuck? Fuck off, fuck you. He tells me how I was right and how Redacted manipulated him because she changed as soon as I moved out. She wasn't the sweet girl he knew, but a reckless kid who smoked weed, skipped school, and confessed that she would purposely agitate her mum so that they would fight. How she used him because he never told her no and thought that he'd let her do whatever she want. Told me I was too quick to want to end our marriage and that we were always good whenever we didn't let others in. I told him iPhone fucked up and sent all the pics from his phone to mine. Every nude, every confirmation of meetups, video chats. I had proof that he was cheating and that I was filing for divorce. We're over. Hold on. So did you tell him that to get him to confess, or was that really what happened? Did his iPhone really fuck up and send you all pictures of nudes, meetups, video chats? I had proof that he was cheating and that I was filing for divorce. We're over. I've moved on and met my person. I get to do all the things he made me give up because he didn't like it. And I get to truly be happy. He still tries to get through and tell me the divorce was hasty, but he can kiss my ass. Oh my God. These stories today have been something. I just want to know if you really got confirmation of all of this or that you just said that to him. That's mad. Either way, I'm happy you're not in that situation anymore. Once again, when it comes to kids, I can't fathom being with someone or that happening under my, oh my gosh, it's like, I just know I would be in jail. Like, I know I would be in jail. And if I'm not in jail, they need to be in jail, if I'm honest. How are you still walking around? And that's, as a big man, you're in your 30s and she was 15. How are you still walking around and that's okay? And I get why, when you see all those people, How to Catch a Predator, and those people that like, just go online to bait pedophiles, I get why they do it. I get why they do it, because all of them need to be caught and locked up. Throw them away forever, throw away the key, and that's just it. I was gonna read another one, but they are pretty lengthy and I don't have enough time, so I'm gonna have to just pause that there until the next video. Remember, if you want to send me a story, you can send it to dainasdiary@gmail.com. It should be here on the screen and in the description box below. Once again, thank you guys for sharing your stories, because I know these stories are not, like, these are not play. This is actually people's lives. So even when you guys are watching these videos at home and you haven't sent a story in, while a lot of these videos, my reactions might make it humorous, or I'm just reading it and I'm just very expressive and I exclaim and all of that when I'm reading, let's just take a step back and realize this is actually people's lives. Just like in my stories where I shared my story, that was my life. And this is you guys' life. This is your life. This is real life, and it's serious. It's not on, like, I'm lost for words hearing what I've heard today. These stories today have probably been the most what the fuck ones that I've received so far. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.